Welcome to your personalized deep dive. Today we're exploring Job Therapy by Tessa West.
Oh, this one looks interesting.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
It's all about finding work that really, truly works for you.
Okay.
We're calling this like a career checkup, but instead of your resume, we're kind of looking inward, at your emotional needs and how they fit into your work life.
Yeah, that's such a good point because so often we try to fix career unhappiness with those external changes,
Right.
like a new job or a promotion.
Yeah, yeah.
But this book suggests we go deeper
Uh-huh.
and explore those emotional needs that might not be met in our current job.
So a Gallup report actually found that 60% of people are emotionally detached at work,
Wow.
and 19% are straight up miserable.
Really?
Yeah. So it's like a silent epidemic.
It is.
When you think back on some of your past jobs,
Yeah.
were there any where you felt that like bad relationship feeling kind of crept in?
Oh, absolutely.
What needs were missing for you in those jobs?
Let me think. I remember one job in particular where I felt constantly micromanaged,
Okay.
and it really stifled my creativity.
Yeah.
It was like my need for autonomy and self-expression wasn't being met at all.
Uh-huh.
And just like in a romantic relationship, when those needs aren't met, it creates a lot of resentment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The book talks about this woman, Trisha Baker, who was a school psychologist, and she thought she would love the field, but she ended up feeling totally unfulfilled by those like day-to-day tasks.
Oh, yeah. I could see that happening.
Have you ever had a similar experience where like the reality of the job just didn't match your initial expectations?
Oh, absolutely.
Hmm.
I think that happens to a lot of people, especially early in their careers,
Right.
when you get so caught up in the excitement of a new job title.
Yeah.
But then the day-to-day tasks might not actually use the skills you enjoy or align with your values.
Right.
It's like Trisha's story highlights how crucial it is to recognize that work really becomes a part of who we are, and a mismatch between expectation and reality can really impact our happiness.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. So, okay, we've done some soul searching now and figured out what makes us tick.
Right.
But now let's talk about all those like extra tasks we take on at work. Are they really helping our careers, or are they just adding to the stress? What does the book say about that?
Well, the book suggests that we should be much more strategic about the extra work that we take on.
Okay.
Instead of just assuming those extra tasks are being noticed, you should actively seek out feedback from your boss or another leader
Okay.
and just ask directly, are my efforts actually contributing to my career advancement?
So it's not about just like saying no to everything. It's about making sure your efforts are really aligned with your goal
Exactly.
and that you're not just like spinning your wheels.
Precisely. And, having those conversations about your contributions can feel a little scary,
Yeah, I can see that.
but it's so crucial for making sure your work is visible and, aligned with the goals that will actually help you move forward.
Speaking of things that can make you feel like you're spinning your wheels, stress,
Ugh. Yes.
the book talks about this app called MyVT Lab, which was designed to actually track stress levels at work.
Interesting.
What did you find surprising about that research?
What I found most fascinating was that people were only able to accurately predict their work stressors about half of the time.
Really?
Yeah.
So we're not really good at predicting what stresses us out.
It seems that way, and it really challenges our assumptions about what actually gets to us at work.
Right. Like we think it's going to be that big presentation or that looming deadline.
Right, exactly.
But then it's those little unpredictable things like a surprise meeting or a computer glitch.
Oh, tell me about it.
That can throw us off. I know I've definitely experienced that. So what strategies does the book recommend for managing all of these everyday stressors?
Well, instead of letting those little stressors pile up, the book suggests taking a more proactive approach.
Okay.
Basically, start tracking those stressors.
Yeah.
Write down what you think is going to stress you out each morning.
Okay.
And then at the end of the day, you just jot down what actually happened.
So like a stress journal.
Exactly. That way you can really start to see those patterns
Yeah.
and, potential triggers.
I like that. So does the book talk about like once we've identified those triggers, how to deal with them?
Oh, absolutely. Once you see those patterns,
Yeah.
you can start to figure out how to better manage or even avoid those triggers in the future.
Okay.
For example, if you notice that back-to-back meetings always throw you off,
Yeah.
you can start scheduling in a little bit of buffer time.
Yeah.
Or if certain people are consistently draining your energy, you can learn to set better boundaries with them.
Yeah.
It's about taking control of your work environment rather than letting it control you.
I like that. Okay, so we've tackled self-reflection, strategic task management, stress management.
We've been busy.
What happens if, like, despite all that, you're still feeling that itch to make a change?
Yeah.
What if you're thinking about a major career shift?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's where the book's advice on career changes comes in. And it might surprise you to hear that it's not always about finding a completely new passion.
So we don't necessarily need to throw everything out and start from scratch.
Right, not necessarily.
Okay, good. Because I was starting to feel a little overwhelmed.
Yeah.
So what does the book suggest instead?
It's more about taking inventory of what you're good at and what you enjoy doing, and then exploring how those skills and interests might translate to different roles or industries. Think of it as like a dating phase for your career.
Oh, I love that career dating.
Yeah.
That takes the pressure off of finding the one right away. So how do we actually approach this dating phase? Do we just start swiping right on job postings?
Haha, no. It's a little more nuanced than that.
Okay.
Networking is definitely key.
Okay.
But it's not just about, like, collecting business cards.
Right.
It's about having those genuine conversations with people in fields or roles that you're curious about.
Mm-hmm.
It's about learning about their day-to-day experiences, the challenges and rewards, and the overall culture of their workplace.
So those like informational interviews you hear about,
Yes.
how do we actually go about setting those up? Do we just like cold email strangers on LinkedIn?
Sometimes, yeah, it can be that simple.
Okay.
But you can also start with your existing network, friends, family, former colleagues,
Right.
and see if they know anyone in those fields you're interested in.
Hmm.
You can also join those professional organizations or online groups that are related to those fields.
Okay, so we're networking, we're doing informational interviews. What kind of questions should we be asking in those conversations?
Think of yourself as like a detective, trying to uncover the hidden curriculum of a job.
Interesting.
Those unspoken rules and expectations
Right.
that you only learn once you're on the inside.
Mm-hmm.
So ask about things like office politics,
Right.
communication styles, the general vibe of the place.
Mm-hmm.
Those details can tell you so much about whether a particular workplace is a good fit for you.
So we're not just like blindly leaping into the unknown.
Exactly.
We're doing our research, gathering intel,
Mhm.
and making informed decisions.
I like that. So what's the next step? Like once we've gathered all this information, how do we actually make the move to a new career?
Well, the book emphasizes taking those small, thoughtful steps.
Okay.
You don't have to quit your job tomorrow and jump into something totally new, you
Wait,
know?
right.
You can start by just dipping your toes in the water.
So like what are some examples of these baby steps we can take?
It could be something as simple as taking a course or a workshop to develop a new skill.
Or volunteering or freelancing in a field that you're interested in to gain some experience.
Right.
And as you gain more experience and clarity, you can start making those bigger moves, like applying for new jobs or even starting your own business.
So we're building momentum and slowly but surely creating the work life we want.
Exactly.
You mentioned earlier that career change is a process, not a destination. And I think that's really important to remember.
Yeah.
Like, we don't have to have it all figured out right away. It's okay to experiment and adjust our course along the way. Right?
Absolutely. In fact, the book encourages us to embrace that uncertainty.
Okay.
Your interests and priorities might evolve, and that's
Yeah.
perfectly normal.
Yeah.
The key is to stay curious, stay open to new possibilities, and keep moving forward.
I like that. Okay, so we've talked about self-reflection, career dating, taking those small steps to transition into a new field. Before we move on, I want to circle back to something you said earlier about balancing like gut feelings with logical thinking when making career decisions. Can you elaborate on that a bit more?
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's so easy to get swept up in the excitement of a new opportunity,
Right.
or let fear hold us back from actually making a change.
Mm-hmm. So how do we find that balance between like, our head and our heart when making those career decisions?
The book suggests taking some time to really reflect on your values and priorities. Like ask yourself, what's truly important to you on a job? Is it work-life balance, creative freedom, the opportunity to make a difference?
Yeah.
Once you have a clear understanding of those like non-negotiables, you can start to assess those opportunities much more objectively.
That makes a lot of sense. So instead of just reacting to what's right in front of us,
Right.
we're approaching our careers with like, intention and purpose.
Exactly.
But what about those times when like our gut is sending mixed signals?
Yeah.
Let's say you're feeling torn between staying in a job that's comfortable, but maybe not fulfilling versus taking a risk on something new. How do we navigate that kind of internal conflict?
Well, The book recommends a technique called future self-journaling.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of this?
I haven't. Tell me more.
So basically, you imagine yourself like 5 years from now in both scenarios,
Okay.
you know, and write down what your life would actually look like if you
Yeah.
stayed in your current job
Okay.
and what it would look like if you actually made the
Oh,
change,
interesting.
and really pay attention to how each scenario makes you feel. Does one path, fill you with more excitement, more possibility? Does one align better with your long-term goals?
Yeah, I can see how that would be really helpful, like to kind of bring clarity to a difficult decision.
Right.
Because sometimes we get so stuck in the present moment that we lose sight of that bigger picture.
Exactly.
So we've talked about self-reflection, career dating, balancing gut feelings with logic. Are there any other like key takeaways from Job therapy that we haven't really touched on?
One thing the book really emphasizes is the importance of self-care.
Ah, yeah, that's so important.
Throughout this whole process, job searching and career changes can be so incredibly stressful.
They can.
So it's crucial to prioritize those activities that bring you joy and help you recharge.
Yeah, it's so easy to get caught up in the hustle of it all
I do.
and just forget to take care of ourselves.
Exactly.
What are some of the self-care practices that you found helpful during those times of career transition?
For me, it's all about connecting with nature,
Okay.
spending time outdoors, whether it's hiking, gardening, or even just like sitting in a park.
Mm.
It helps me clear my head and just gain perspective.
Yeah.
It reminds me that there's a whole world outside of work
Right.
and that my worth isn't solely defined by, my job title.
I love that. It's so important to have those reminders. So as we're wrapping up this deep dive,
Okay.
I'm really struck by this common thread that runs through all these strategies that we've talked about, from self-reflection to career dating to self-care. And I think, it's all about taking ownership of our careers.
Yeah, it's about recognizing that we have choices
Mm-hmm.
and that we really have the power to shape our work lives.
Exactly. Even if it doesn't always feel that way.
Right.
Job therapy is really giving us the tools
Mm.
and the permission to create work lives that are aligned with our values, our needs, our aspirations.
It is. It
It's
is.
a really powerful message.
Yeah.
So as we close out this episode, we want to leave you with one final question to ponder.
Okay.
What's one small step you can take this week to bring more of you into your work life? Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, and we'll see you next week.
See you then.